What makes a person of interest? Coach Micheal Burt cuts to the chase, interviewing some of the biggest names in the world. How do they think? What makes them tick? What are their thought processes? And how they became a person of interest.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is The Jeff Crilley Show.
There are countless companies and executives across the country who have no coach, and they really need one, especially now following the COVID-19 pandemic. To talk about that, Micheal Burt, he is a coach and best-selling author, speaker, probably Nobel Prize winner. I'm not even sure. You've done a lot. Coach Burt, thanks for coming on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so how does one become a coach? Tell us about your journey.
My journey is a little bit different than most business coaches. I was actually a head women's basketball coach at the second largest high school in Tennessee for a decade. I turned that into a national championship program in my 10th year. I started writing books about halfway through the journey and how we were engineering children to win and building competitive intelligence. That actually led me out to speak to companies around the world, and ultimately what helped me to build a multi-million-dollar coaching company. So my pedigree is a little bit different than most people that are business coaches or people that just write books.
Well, you have to tell me how this last few months has been for you, because there was no playbook for the pandemic for any of us. What were your clients turning to you for during the pandemic?
When you understand human nature, you understand that people need structure. They need accountability. They start with good intention, they fall off the wagon, and then they experience guilt. So when you take them out of an environment or a culture where there's expectation, where there's rhythm, where there's energy, many people can't handle that. So over the past 2 months, most companies have hired me to come in and keep their people in an offensive position, to stay structured, to stay disciplined, to follow up. Many companies saw an initial increase in the first month, the productivity at home, but they saw that productivity drastically drop over the last 2 months. Once people become maybe lazy, maybe complacent, maybe they like the motivation, maybe they like the structure. So this has been a good time to be a coach, because we can help those companies regain their focus, regain that accountability, regain that structure.
Well, you're an amazing speaker, and I know that there aren't a lot of conferences to speak at now, and you've been doing a lot of this via Zoom or Skype. But I found a great video on your website. I want to just share that with my audience right now.
I'm Coach Micheal Burt, and I've spent the last 25 years of my life coaching some of the best people in the world. And I've come to a realization: everybody needs a good coach in life. You see, potential is just kinetic energy that is stored until utilized. It is stored until activated. It is the idea of embryonic growth. We'll be better today than we were yesterday. We'll be better tomorrow than we are today. That we will never stop getting better. But somebody has to activate that potential. That somebody is a coach. I want to turn your managers into coaches. I want to show your leaders how to have conversations with people that they may or may not want to have, how to get people to do some things they may or may not want to do, and help them become something they didn't even think they could become. A good coach will take you to a place that you didn't even know you wanted to go to. Everybody needs a good coach in life, because a good coach can change your life.
Amazing. And, I love your energy and your charisma. Tell me where does that energy come from? Have you always been this way?
I have a deep conviction. I think there's a cycle in life to do something big. You first have a big revelation that happened for me at 6 years old on a local baseball field in Tennessee when my coach said, son, one of these days you're going to be a great coach. Because of my revelation, I then had conviction. I started coaching as early as 15 years old. I've literally been coaching for the last 28 years. So that conviction transfers in the form of passion, this irresistible belief or motive or action. And because of my conviction, I'm willing to take this message all over the world. I also go to the number one energy doctor in the world in Houston, Texas. So a lot of my energy has to do with how I treat my body like an athlete, how I prepare, but it has a lot to do with my pure passion for helping people. And that has been in me for as long as I can remember.
Outstanding. And you're a prolific author. I got to tell you, I wrote one book 20 years ago and it almost killed me. People say, when's book number 2? I said, the first one almost killed me. We're going to go to your website where you just, I don't know how you do it. How many books have you written, and do you have a favorite?
Yeah, I'm on book number 16, I think, 16 or 17. 17 is coming out. If you ask me my favorite, my life's work is tied up in a book called Everybody Needs a Coach in Life. That is my life's mission, is to really help people understand that with a good coach can truly change your life. They can take you to a place you didn't even know you wanted to go to. Most people think they need a coach when something's wrong. The reality is I coach some of the top people in the world who are looking for a competitive advantage. They're looking to play at the next level. They're looking to break through. So I would say Everybody Needs a Coach in Life is one of my favorites.
And I don't know if you had the chance to watch the Michael Jordan series that aired recently. I was so inspired by that. I mean, that clearly was not a sports documentary. That was a business documentary. Did you get a chance to watch it?
I did, and I grew up watching Michael Jordan. I remember as a kid in high school sitting on the edge of my bed watching him win those championships. And I loved studying Phil Jackson as a basketball coach and his unorthodox approach. I was always a person that brought a lot of unorthodox approaches to coaching. And the new book I'm writing is a book about Pray Drive, how to activate the Pray Drive, PREYDRIVE in people. And it's called Flip the Switch. And what I loved about that documentary is you could see the activators of Michael Jordan's Pray Drive. Anytime he felt a slight indignation, every time he felt someone challenge him, every time there was a competitive spirit, that activated a drive in him to perform at a higher level. So I really spend a lot of my time trying to figure out, how do I activate that drive in another person? What is the primary activator? And that's what that book will be about. And that's really what the whole series was about to me.
I know there are a lot of people watching this right now who might be in transition. They've been laid off. There's something like 40 million people unemployed. If somebody is asking your advice when they're kind of in the middle of a career and they're not sure if they want to go back to the job they lost, what's your advice to people?
The reality is that 67% of Americans say they're disengaged with their work. There was a book written many years ago called I Got Fired, and it's the best thing that ever happened to me. These were people who were in jobs they were not supposed to be in. They were not utilizing their talents. I believe work could be the distribution channel for your talents. So I believe you first find your talent, then you find your work. You pursue things, and I don't believe you have to find your why as many people do. I believe many times your purpose finds you in the pursuit of following your talent and curiosity. And I write about this in a book called This Ain't No Practice Life. So I actually believe this is going to be a blessing for many people. In the short term, no. In the long term, yes. It's going to force them to say, what do I want to do with my life? What are my talents? Where is there a need in the world? What is my conscience telling me I should be doing? You need to find your voice. And once you find your voice, you operate in a vocation versus an occupation. And many Americans need to find this. That's why they're disengaged with their work. That's why they're daydreaming, moonlighting, wasting 3 and 4 hours per day. So for many people, this will be the best thing that ever happened to them.
Wow. You know, I pick up a little bit of a preacher in you. Have you ever, you got ministers in the family?
You know, I wrote a book called The Accountable Church. And it was to help churches become dynamic. There's 10,000 churches that die every year in the United States. And because I've built big coaching programs that have thousands of people in there, I had to study how to keep people engaged. And so I was coaching my pastor one summer. He asked me to coach him and be his coach. And I studied the fastest growing churches in the United States. And I wrote this book called The Accountable Church about keeping things in a dynamic state where people come back over and over and over and over. So I have a lot of deep faith in me, a deep conviction about me. So a lot of people have asked, will I ever start a church or become a pastor? And I said I was going to start a church once, and my wife said, "Now hold on, let's slow down just a little bit and think through this," because her brother's a pastor. So we'll see about that one.
Well, if you ever start that church, I'm coming, and I'm going to be on the very first pew. You've been an amazing guest, Coach Burt. We're going to have you back again. Let's put up the website so people can plug in and get engaged. CoachBurt.com is the website. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you. You got a great studio. You've done some remarkable things yourself. So congratulations on an fascinating and incredible career.
Thank you. Thank you. You've been a blessing. That's it for now.
Got it.
We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
This month in Monster Producer, I'm coaching people in how to get on the same page with their team. And one of the constant themes I hear over and over from every team I coach is, how do we get these people on board? How do we wake them up from a complacency? How do we get them to operate at the highest frequency?
What's up, Doc?
I've been teaching the concept of a thunderbolt, a strategy I learned from the great Pat Riley, which is a sudden, unexpected jolt of energy. The thunderbolt can be positive, it can be negative, but it is always a curveball to make the team think, to make the team perform, to make the team come back to life when they've laid down. Get in Monster Producer, and let me teach you the strategies I use to build world-class, championship-winning teams.